Welcome, my name is Lorenz. This is System Self. Today let's talk about being with discomfort. The Buddhists have a concept called the Four Noble Truths. The first one is that life is suffering. I used to feel very confronted by this idea. To me, suffering was something extreme. It was starving children or war or poverty. It wasn't necessarily part of my everyday reality. It took me a long time to understand this concept on a more subtle level, to begin to recognize it as immanent in the human experience and all the little things that we want or don't want, worrying about money or what's going to happen tomorrow or how a business project might work out or whether or not someone likes us. And to recognize that, wow, I am suffering all the time in little ways. And so is everybody around me. This kind of subtle chronic anxiety is immanent in the human experience. And some people obviously are suffering in extreme ways, but almost everybody is suffering in some sort of subtle way. The Buddhists have a saying which says that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And I find it very helpful to get past some of this word choice. Pain can seem like such a big, dark word, but pain can be a reflection of the existential discomfort of the human experience. If you think about it, human life is fundamentally insecure. We're always worried about some sort of external situation that's going to affect our internal well-being. If we weren't ever concerned about our well-being, if we just felt infinitely secure, we'd never have a reason for all this anxiety. And so it can be very powerful to recognize that insecurity is part of the human experience. And when we spend a lot of energy avoiding that insecurity, well, first and foremost, we're spending a lot of energy. But secondly, we're actually missing out on a fundamental part of the human experience. By avoiding something that is at the heart of being human, this subtle discomfort, we're actually stuck in some sort of mental projection of worries and fears about the future, instead of being in the present that often isn't as bad as our mental projections put out there. So the first thing is really to become present to the discomfort in our being, to the discomfort of the present moment. You can try this right now. You take a breath and become aware of yourself, aware of your body. Perhaps you're physically uncomfortable. Perhaps your jeans are too tight or your shoes are somehow not fitting quite right. And become aware of anything that's causing you discomfort in this moment, whether it's some sort of anxiety or something physical. Just be with it and acknowledge it. That in itself is tremendously presencing. Now, sometimes these discomforts are very uncomfortable. It's a practice to be with them. Sometimes our discomforts revolve around a deep sense of shame or anger that our mind is so busy avoiding, we're not even aware of it. We're not even aware that that is what we're avoiding. And it can take a long time to really be with ourselves, to really ask ourselves, well, what's underneath this? Why am I reacting this way? Why am I feeling so triggered by this? To really inquire into what you need. This is a really important thing to understand, is that many times we are expecting other people to fulfill our needs. Let me illustrate with a story. Imagine you feel very insecure and you need other people to validate you. So whenever you're out and about with other people, you're always wondering and worrying what they're thinking about you and whether or not they're judging you. And so fundamentally, you are expecting them to give you energy. You are expecting them to make you feel better about yourself. And the first part is just to acknowledge that. To acknowledge that, yes, I need validation. And even in that very first step, by acknowledging that you need validation, you in fact give yourself that validation. And that is an experience of taking responsibility for what you need and not expecting other people to give it to you. And in that process, you transition from being an energy taker, from expecting other people to give you something, to being an energy giver, to taking full responsibility for what you need and how you feel, and actually being able to walk into a situation and give to other people. Because the second thing that comes out when you are able to fully be with your discomfort is compassion, is recognizing that everybody is suffering. Everybody feels anxiety and insecurity in some way. And when you can fully come in contact with your own anxiety and insecurity, you can begin to recognize it in other people, to be with it with other people, and to give them love and support and validation. And the things that maybe you want for your insecurity, you can begin to give that to other people in a way. And that is a very powerful, uplifting, and healing process. So I want to stress that this is a practice. It's a lifelong practice. The first thing is that it takes a lot of practice just to become more aware of the things that are triggering us and the discomforts that we're trying to avoid. And the second thing is that it takes a lot of practice to actually be with those things, to actually sit with them and not be overwhelmed by the experience of those discomforts. The gifts, of course, are numerous and lifelong and fundamentally revolve around being more present to the experience of life. And of course, being more able to share yourself and your gifts and to uplift other people around you. So, I hope this has been an interesting insight for you. If you enjoyed the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel. This is System Self, where we explore awareness of the self and the systems that we operate in. I look forward to our conversations in the future. Thank you so much for watching.